The gang is not unknown to the local authorities, but every previous effort by local police to apprehend and dismantle Arroyo's organization ends in failure.
When the police would go in, they would run to the porches of the houses there, get rid of the weapons, but they would just kind of lean over on the porches and smile and laugh at the police, make fun of them.
The local precinct there was very well aware of the existence of this drug point, but each time that they tried to enter the area, the drugs were quickly hidden or the individuals were able to run and hide up in the jungle area. There was no way for them to have an element of surprise.
At the first sign of police in the neighborhood, weapons, drugs, and cash that could incriminate the gang are quickly tossed inside the homes of innocent people who know full well that if they resist, after the police leave, the gang will return.
There were times when you would be in your house at 9, 10, or 11, watching TV with your children, and they will knock on your window and say, "Lay on the floor," because there might be a shooting or something, and since my walls were plywood, they could break them down. You have to understand, because that was always going on. It is impossible for one to live that way. Sometimes I had the door open, and when you least expect the police, the gang would throw you down. Or you would find a package in the front room, a package of drugs or money. That happened to me many times.
In spite of the local cops' inability to break up gang activities, they do something that will pay off later.
The FBI and the Safe Streets Task Force was not the first group to try to investigate this gang. They had made numerous attempts at the police of Puerto Rico level to conduct searches, find evidence, and arrest somebody, and they simply were not successful in doing it. So they just took cameras and they just snapped pictures as they went through the streets of these guys up on the porches.
Most members live in and around Sector Via Davila, where they were born and raised. Despite photos taken by local police, however, the task force is unable to identify the gangsters by true names. Juan Carlos Arroyo and his henchmen combine the essential ingredients needed for a murderous climb to power. A protected area to sell drugs, total control over the local populace, and a steady flow of money. The authorities realize this is a no-win situation.
They were never going to find the gang in possession of a large cache of weapons or money or drugs because the gang had all the advantage.
The first action by the task force is to verify the reported drug activity. But without a means to penetrate the group, they face the same obstacles that plagued the local police.
From the beginning, it was clear that this was going to be a major case. It was going to take some sophistication to investigate. We decided that there was not going to be a gang that was smarter or better equipped than we were.
The task force sends an observation team into the hills above the neighborhood.
So the first time that we went in, we dressed in camouflage and as quietly as possible, hiked up through the ravines and around the trees and the vines and got up to the observation post where we were able to set up our equipment. During that initial 3-hour period, we observed between 125 to 135 drug transactions.
The video surveillance reveals the gang activity in Via Davila is bigger and far more sophisticated than authorities anticipated. The task force also establishes criminal conspiracy at the drug point by scanning the gang's radio frequencies. It reconfirms that Arroyo and his men are indeed operating an extensive and ongoing criminal enterprise.
At that point in time, I don't think any of the gangs in Puerto Rico had really given much thought to the fact that their two-way radio traffic was something that was going to put them in jail, so they were careless.
The task force penetrates the inside workings of the gang and uncovers Arroyo's methods for avoiding arrest. An organized system of guards and lookouts throughout the entire neighborhood is an ominous sign of Arroyo's stranglehold on the community.
Any activity that entered into the Via Davila area, they would call out whether they were residentes or clientes. They would call out whether they were coming in bicicleta or a pie, meaning on foot or by car.
We immediately started to tape record those transmissions, and they were very valuable in the case.